And it's that kind of attention in doing to some of those remedial tasks that is going to benefit you inordinately. Welcome back, brothers. So in this video I thought I would take some time to explore one of my most favorite and valued books above all, and that is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This is the first book in a series of spiritual literature that put me on my current trajectory for spiritual development. Some may call it enlightenment, but I think a more sensible and pragmatic term to address it is exploring your spiritual personality. I think many of us have multiple different personalities we shift into depending on the situation that presents itself, be it mental, physical, and spiritual. And that was something that was particularly lacking in my life at a particularly difficult time, and it offered me tremendous insight and perspective. In fact, I was a atheist not too many years ago, but it opened up again that spiritual dynamic of myself and what is inherent in every single human being. I wanted to read a little excerpt from you which encapsulates some of the pragmatic insights in this book that can be applied to practical situations that again may offer you a lot of value. I think fundamentally the problem is in fact in thinking too much, feeling too much, and how in fact they can bring you away from the truth that is the present moment, which is essentially the premise of this book. So one way to detect whether or not you are fighting against the present moment is if you can't detect any joy, ease, or lightness in what you're doing in a specific moment. You can do body scans, which are quite recommended in meditative practices, but just discerning whether or not there is any tension in the legs, in the belly, in the chest, in the neck, in the facial muscles, and exploring that and observing that objectively. It can be exercised in the more trivial tasks that you do every single day, be it tying your shoelaces, going out for a walk, even washing the dishes, which nobody likes. Ask yourself in these moments whether or not there is joy, lightness, and ease in that particular task you're doing. And if the answer is not yes to that question, then you are in fact not being present in the doing of that particular activity, which can take away some of the joy that is your birthright, essentially. And usually that joy is being taken away or robbed from you by the mind, which is an excellent tool, but in Western society particularly, there is a overemphasis of using this particular tool, the intellect, which actually causes us a lot of suffering. And it is this disidentification with mind and the tool of the intellect that is rooted in depression, anxiety, and some of the lower negative emotions that plague us on a daily basis. So one suggestion Eckhart Tolle proposes in this particular excerpt, that this is something that you struggle with, and I continue to struggle with this on a daily basis, but I always have to remember and bring myself back to the moment at hand to relieve myself of the suffering, is to ask yourself if you can give more attention to the doing of the process rather the receiving of the process, the end result, the end goal of what it is you're doing. So perhaps we can take an example of some of the more remedial tasks that we do every day, like washing the dishes. We just want to scrub and scrub as hard as we can to get those dishes washed so we can dry them and get on with our work or watch some TV or do whatever it is that we need to do that's more important and will bring us more pleasure. But in fact, when you are committing to this particular exercise of washing the dishes, but your thoughts are in fact not present with the moment, you are inviting a sense of anxiety in living in the future, but rather in the doing of the moment. This concept, in fact, is very difficult to explain in terms of words and intellect because it takes you away from the present moment. So as an exercise, even as you're watching me through your screen, you can watch your hand. So you shouldn't be watching me right now, you should be watching your hand and just observe it with objectivity. Witness it in its entirety. Can you be aware of the small nuances of the temperature, perhaps the air on your skin, even the subtle biokinetic feedbacks of your pulse flowing through your hands? And it's that kind of attention in doing to some of those remedial tasks that is going to benefit you inordinately moving forward. And I think it's something, especially for very ambitious young entrepreneurs, to take into account, that you need to slow down. Enjoy the process, because the process is the reward in and of itself. And if you're too focused on the end result of getting, of receiving, of being seen in the trappings of grandeur, let's say, then you're going to miss out on the joy that is inherent in the process of getting there. And when all said is done and you are sitting atop that mountain peak with all the jewels beneath you and on you, you will only then realize that it was the climb that was the most joyous in that particular pursuit. So, my friends, I think this is a very important principle for you to meditate on deeply. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll bring you something else very, very soon. Take care and be present.